Hi, my name is Michael Schatz from Johns Hopkins University. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to use Galaxy inside of the AnVIL. Before doing that, let me give you a quick tour of some of the features that the AnVIL provides. To get started, go to anvilproject.org. Inside this website, you'll find many resources available and tutorials to get started. Specifically, you'll need to set up a Terra account where we're going to be launching Galaxy from, and we're going to have to link your Terra account to a Google billing account to pay for the compute that you're using. Once done, we're going to be carrying out a number of analyses that I'll show you in just a minute. One of the key features of the AnVIL is that it comes preloaded with a lot of human data sets already available. Currently, there's about 75,000 human genome data sets available, more than 1 petabyte of storage. A lot of this research is, a lot of these data are available for human disease research. Here are the 8 cohorts available, for example, for autism spectrum disorders. Note that you need to be authorized by dbGaP in order to access those data. To actually access Galaxy, we're going to sign into what is called Terra as our computing platform. We're just going to sign in very quickly using our Google credentials. Inside of Terra, all of the information is organized inside of what are called workspaces, which can sort of organize the data analysis and scripts that were used for compute this. On the data, there can be structured data like the sample ID, age, ancestry, BMI of the samples, but there can also be other data, variant data, whole genome sequencing data, or other data needed for the analysis. You can also organize Jupyter notebooks where you can interleave code and text and visualization all in one place to make sure your work is transparent and reproducible. And then finally, for computing analysis at scale, there's a workflow engine that uses something called WDLs that can be very rapidly scaled up to huge amounts of data all at once. For this demonstration, though, I'm just going to start with an empty workspace to kind of walk you through the whole process. So I'm going to click on the Create New Workspace button. I'm just going to call this Launch Galaxy. All of the workspaces have to be associated with the billing project to be able to fund the compute resources. This is just going to take a second, and then we're going to be presented with an empty workspace that we can then use. Under the Notebooks tab, there's a button for Create a Cloud Environment for Galaxy. Note that it will cost 84 cents per hour in order to use this environment. After I click Create, this is going to take just a few minutes to provision this. This is going to be launching Galaxy in the cloud, getting everything initialized. While that happens, let's go ahead and load some data into this workspace that we can use for the analysis. Here, I'm just going to be using some microbial sequencing data that I have available from one of my courses. Inside the Finder, we can unpack the tarball. We're going to see that there are some paired-end FASTQ files, some APAIR data, and then also the reference genome for this microbe. And then to actually move the data into the cloud, there's a few options. The easiest of which is I can just drag and drop from my local computer directly into the cloud, into the Terra workspace. Here I'm moving the FASTQ files. The jump files are what are called MAPAIR libraries available for that. And then finally, I'm going to be moving the actual reference genome associated with this microbe. Once all the data are loaded, I'm going to wait a moment, and then we're going to get the Launch Galaxy button to appear once it's ready. Inside of Galaxy, it'll be very familiar if you've ever used Galaxy before with all the tools available. The first thing you'll probably need to do is load your data into Galaxy using the Choose Remote Files button in order to be able to browse the data that are available in your Terra workspace. Here, I'm selecting all of the data that I just loaded, the FASTQ files and the reference genome. This process here is actually going to copy the data out of the workspace and then make it available inside of Galaxy for this analysis. This will just take a few moments as those data are copied over, and then the metadata are captured so that Galaxy knows what types of files that they are. You can view these files. They're all just text files, although what we really want to do is do some analysis of them. The first thing I always like to do is take a look at the quality of the data. And here I'm using FastQC so I can inspect the quality values associated with the data. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that paired-end data and then align it to the reference genome so we can sort of organize those random alignments along the genome that is present there. Now, the main output from Bowtie is called a BAM file or a SAM file, which describes how every read is aligned across the genome, which is important, but is difficult to analyze on itself. The next thing I always like to do is look at the coverage, and as expected, we see a nice Poisson distribution centered at about 30x coverage data. With those reads aligned to the reference genome, I can then systematically scan through them and look for small variants, single nucleotide variants and indels using a popular tool called Freebase. Freebase naturally produces a VCF file that describes where on the genome there was a variant that was detected. And then finally, what I want to do here is compute some statistics about how many variants were identified using this process, using a tool called BCF tools that can just quickly compute those statistics for us. In just a moment here, we're going to see that this statistics are computed. This is just a simple text file, and we see that there are 1,908 single nucleotide polymorphisms available. Using the download tool, I can download directly back to my laptop computer. I can then shut down Galaxy. One very important thing to do is make sure you delete the environment so that there's no more costs associated with it running. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.